What if everything you learned about the history of money is a carefully crafted lie? The truth is, our global financial system wasn't built by governments or central banks in well-lit rooms. It was forged in the shadows by groups you've likely never heard of. Imagine a world of pure financial chaos. No stable currencies, no deposit insurance, and sending wealth across a border was a lethal gamble. In this dangerous landscape, official laws were useless. The only thing that mattered was identity. Your survival depended on being part of a tribe. This is why the first true global systems were created not by nations, but by close-knit communities. One of the most powerful early networks was the Jewish merchant diaspora. For centuries, they were the crucial link between the Christian and Islamic worlds. Their multilingual skills and deep family bonds created a web of trust that kings could only dream of. They moved credit and goods across continents, using an unbreakable chain of loyalty. But they weren't the only players. In the Mediterranean, the merchant republics of Venice and Genoa were building their own financial empires. They pioneered maritime insurance and sophisticated partnerships. Their intelligence networks, built on shipping logs and diplomatic reports, gave them a critical information edge. Venice functioned less like a city and more like a proprietary financial software. Further north, the Hanseatic League emerged as a merchant superpower. This federation of cities like Lübeck and Hamburg acted as a single corporate entity, enforcing trade monopolies with its own private navy. They standardized everything from weights to credit terms, operating like a modern multinational for centuries before it was legally possible. In the east, the Armenian merchants of New Julfa mastered long-distance trade. Their routes stretched from Amsterdam to Manila. They moved silk, silver, and credit across hostile political and religious divides, using nothing but family connections and internal arbitration. Their reliability made them indispensable to empires. But perhaps the most unexpected financiers were a order of warrior monks, the Knights Templar. They discovered that finance was more powerful than military force. They built a network of secure fortresses that doubled as the world's first international banks. They accepted deposits and created a coded letter of credit that functioned as an early wire transfer. Their wealth and secrecy eventually made them a target, leading to a brutal crackdown. Yet, their financial innovations survived. As the Middle Ages waned, financial power shifted to powerful family dynasties. The Italian houses like the Medici and the German Fuggers became the backbone of European power. They funded kings and popes, invented modern accounting, and moved money faster than royal messengers. Their influence didn't come from armies, but from information speed and credit leverage, the very forces that drive modern markets. Then came the Jesuits. Founded in 1540, they weren't bankers, but they became the world's premier information brokers. Their global network of schools and missions collected priceless economic and geographic intelligence. In an age before instant communication, this knowledge was a form of currency more valuable than gold. Another influential, secretive network was the Freemasons. Their lodges became trusted meeting places for the elite bankers, merchants, and politicians. In a corrupt world with slow communication, a Masonic handshake could guarantee a deal more effectively than any legal contract. All of this history was a prelude to one family that perfected the art of the financial network. The Rothschilds. They didn't invent the game, they mastered it. By placing each of 5 brothers in a different European capital, they built a synchronized multi-city banking machine. Their most powerful weapon wasn't their gold, but their speed. They created a private communication system that was faster than any government's. They often knew about major events before monarchs did. In finance, that speed is profit. They financed opposing governments, moved wealth across warring borders, and built the railways that defined the modern economy. The Rothschilds were the ultimate expression of a world ruled by private networks. The real system was always a web of trust. Then, the state finally began to catch up. The 19th century saw the rise of public institutions like central banks and regulated exchanges designed to tame these private powers. But the networks never vanished. They simply adapted and merged into the new world order, which brings us to today. On the surface, our financial world seems orderly, regulated, and transparent. We are told that central banks and governments are in control. But look closer, and you'll see the old machinery is still humming beneath the polished floor. Modern shadow banking, with trillions moving outside official oversight, mirrors the off-book deals of Venetian merchants. The euro-dollar market behaves just like the cross-border credit of ancient diasporas. Offshore banking centers rely on the same secrecy that Templars prized. Private equity circles and elite forums are the new Masonic lodges, places where access and relationships matter more than written rules. And in every modern financial crisis, from 2008 to the Eurozone collapse, it wasn't the law that decided the outcome, it was the networks. The emergency phone calls between old friends, the behind-the-scenes credit lines, the negotiations between people who trust each other more than they trust the system itself. This isn't a conspiracy, it's a structural reality. Financial systems cannot function without trust and coordination, and governments have never been able to fully provide them. Laws follow the money, networks move it. The Knights Templar, the merchant diasporas, the Italian bankers, they built the nervous system of our global economy, a hidden web of communication, leverage, and influence that still operates faster than laws and often faster than the markets it serves. So we return to the central question: what do we live in now? A system of legitimate institutions, or a system of powerful networks simply wearing institutional clothing? The more complex our world becomes, the more valuable trust becomes. And trust, it seems, still flows through private channels long before it ever reaches the public eye. That is the enduring lesson of history. In every crisis, those inside the right networks survive. Those outside bear the cost. If this perspective shifted how you see the world of money, please support this channel. Hit the like button and follow Winds of Thought for more. History holds the clues, we help you find them.